What up? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start the show by being transparent. And yesterday, I went a little bit backwards. I had a 1 and 2 day. The best bet for this show was a winner. I shared my 3% dog of the day, which was the Jazz. They covered, but loser with the Hornets team total under and the Nuggets game under. So I have to do better today. And we have our guy Rob Veno back with us. So Rob, how's everything been with you? And how you doing today?
Things are busy, Ski. Right? This college football bowl season is crazy. It's like when the NCAA hits March Madness in college basketball, but it's been a pretty packed week. Yesterday, let's just focus in on NBA, where it just wasn't great for me yesterday. 1 and 2. The one good is one that seems to always be good to me whenever I'm involved with the Miami Heat over. I had their team total over 111.5 last night. They made it to 114, which cashed. A couple things that went wrong were what I have here. I had the Timberwolves laid the wood, only won by 8, so that fell short. And I had the Pelicans game over the total against Utah, and probably should have had Utah in that contest and scrapped the total, but did have the total, didn't get there. So 1 and 2 day, but it's been a pretty good NBA season overall. Very profitable so far this season. I think the numbers are, let me look here real quick here. Ski, 15 plus 15 units on the season. So we're doing well in the NBA. Little, I would say I've been a little light in NBA selections, but we intend on picking that up here as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's a long season, long grind. I know we have 82 games, but we still have playoffs after that. I think there's still like 6 more months around left of NBA. So still a lot more time left, and we'll keep grinding right away. I'm looking at the chat. I just know they're gonna fire me up for being late. They're already talking about it. They said the overcast, and I'm already at 10:36 a.m. on the comments. So I just know they're coming. But before I get to that, I always recap the chat's best bets as well. You weren't here yesterday, Rob. You are usually here on Thursday. When I recap, the recap yesterday, 21-7. They were on fire. But the recap today, not so much. 14-17. So looks like it was a tough day all around for everybody in the association. Some people who did provide winners, VC3 with Denver first half, Vaughn with the Pelicans first half. Brian H had the Pels game under 240. That was a winner. Um, JB Brown, Pacers, and the Pelicans first half, 2 winners. JT, like the Boston game over, and the Pelicans first half, 2 winners. Kevin Johnson is really good at picking these college team total overs, and he picks the teams that nobody's really watching. So he must watch a lot of college basketball. But he had Eastern Washington team total over 76.5. Another winner from him. Joe F. rolled with the Jazz +9. Nice work there. Sean Evans with Laurie over 7.5 rebounds. That was a cash. And last but not least, Munaf provided 2 winners with Pelicans first half and Laurie marketing points plus rebounds over 32.5. So there were some nice winners out there. Overall, we all need to do a little bit better today. So let's look at a little bit of the comments. Let's see who's gonna be first to get Rob's shirt. And I think we got one early. Oh, they must have cheated because it's too many people. No, it's not too many people. It's just 2 people at the same time. Okay. Did you wear that shirt earlier, Rob?
I did,
To
but they
any other
couldn't have
show?
seen it. They couldn't have seen it because the video is not up yet. I did
Okay.
do an NFL video earlier today, but no, they couldn't have cheated, Ski, unless they're in my closet.
Then it looks like Rapmatic is the first one to get it here. Says Rob Veno in Knicks colors.
Hmm.
So that would be a winner, right?
That's a winner. That's an absolute winner.
Right behind him was Siete Couture saying Vino and Orange. But it looks like the first person is Radmatic. So shout out to you. And Radmatic, if you leave a comment after the show, you put your cash app or something, or DM me on Twitter, and I'll send you $25. We'll buy you lunch for guessing Ravino's shirt correctly. I guess I can skip the rest of these comments. A lot of people are saying orange, so it would have been a lot of people getting it right. But gotta be first. So I guess I'm scrolling through. I just want to make sure I don't leave anybody out for these comments that they leave. We had some good ones yesterday before the show. We do have Sean Evans in the house. What up? I gave you a shout out for your best bet winner. Veno Orange Cashes. I won. It was orange for Rob. Yeah, but you were not first.
KC.
I saw your comment too, but you were not first. Siete Catorce said he called it too. Yeah, but right after Ratmatic, there's Ratmatic saying Veno Knicks.
And this really is Knicks orange. That's a good call out of him.
Very good call. So I'll look out for you to hit me up so I can send that out to you. All right, that's enough. We're already late. Got good amount of games on the slate for today. We'll go through in rotation order like we always do. And all right, it looks like first up we have 547, 548. Brooklyn Nets heading into Washington to take on the Wizards. Opened up Nets -6.5, looking like -6 pretty much everywhere. Total opened up 239 and up to about 242, 242 and a half even at some spots. Injury report, let me hit the refresh because we did just get past that mark where they released injury news for Washington. Gallinari game time decision for Brooklyn. Ben Simmons, Lonnie Walker remain out. DFS is game time but likely. Same can be said for Claxton. And this is a Nets team who, I mean, they rested a couple starters in that last game, right? And then they barely even played the rest of the starters who did play. So I think you should have a relatively fresh net squad here. And this Wizards team, 3-8 as a home dog so far this season. I mean, I know the Nets haven't been covering, but if they were going to cover, it'll be in a game like this where they're super fresh. Even as bad as they played lately, last 5 game stats say they've been the better offense, the better defense, and the better rebounding team. I would look towards the Nets to win this game by a little bit of margin here if I'm betting it. Do you agree, Mr. Veno?
Yeah, I'm not going to complicate it with numbers, Ski. The other night, the Nets did throw in the towel. For sure, they threw in the towel on that game against the Bucks. I had the Bucks first half, cashed that -3.5. I think you and I were on the show together over there at Wagertalk the night that happened. And the second half, they started a whole batch of reserves. We knew their bench was going to be thin because they, had 3 starters out of the starting lineup. So you would expect a bounce back out of them, despite the fact that they're 1-7 over the course of their last 8. I don't like laying 6 with them, so I didn't because they're just not very good defensively. But if Claxton plays, what little defense they have at the rim does show up with him on the floor. Washington can shoot themselves into any game. Friday nights at home, I always say that. But I would look, if I did play this game, Ski, it would be on the Nets to come back with a good game here. One side note about Dennis Smith Jr., who Jacques Vaughn pretty much applauded after last game. He may be seeing some more minutes on the floor with this team. Head coach likes his physicality, so maybe that adds to the Nets' depth here. But like I say, no real complication, situational play. I think I would lay 6 with the Nets.
All right, so we're in agreement here, and I'm looking through the chat. A lot of people liking the Nets as well. Showtime says Nets are well rested for sure. Brian H also liking them. There was one more comment here that I wanted to get to. Sean Evans said, "Hey, I didn't get my winnings last Friday. I didn't see you hit me up with your Cash App or anything, so you can hit me up still. It's not expired. Just maybe comment after the show. If you did hit me up, I didn't see it on Twitter, so maybe just comment after the show with your Cash App, and then we can make that happen." So looks like a couple people agree with the Nets. Bridges has been not himself lately. I'll put it like that. So we'll see. I didn't run to the window and bet it yet, but we both are leaning in the same direction. Let's keep it going. Next game up, we have 549, 550. New York Knicks Heading into Orlando, take on the Magic. Opened up Magic -1.5. We've seen a flip of favorites. The Knicks are now 1 or 1.5 point favorite. Total opened up 227.5, and consensus right now is 227. As far as the injury report, Jericho Sims is out for the Knicks. For the Magic, Jonathan Isaac is game time decision, but Markel Fultz, Gary Harris, Joe Ingles all out. Rob, honestly, this is a game I didn't feel too strongly about. I don't find myself betting a whole lot of Magic games the past few years, but they are 6-3. Or I'm sorry, they're not. I can't even use these stats that I wrote down anymore because they're not a home favorite. But I'll say this: Knicks haven't been the best versus competition. 4-9 versus greater than 55% win teams. But when I think about this Magic team, have they overachieved this year? Is it time for them to start regressing? Can we look at the Knicks in this game? And also, from a total perspective, Knicks have been playing up tempo, haven't been playing a whole lot of defense. Maybe it coincides with missing Mitchell Robinson too, but can you get with the Knicks and over in this game?
I can get with over. I think it's similar to what we had about a week ago. And then that kind of flamed out with the Bulls playing overs, right? Billy Donovan said he wanted more pace. All of a sudden, the team rattles off 9 overs in a row. We were in line fairly quickly. I think I missed the first 3 or 4, but then we're in line to cash quite a few tickets in a row. The same here, right? We talked about the Knicks after Tom Thibodeau about a week and a half ago went ballistic. And I think you and I were on here together on your show when the Knicks were playing that night, and it was, either they're going to respond to this guy or they're not. They didn't play defense that night. They haven't played defense since. Just to put some numbers to that thought right there, last 13 games the Knicks have played, 11 have gone over tonight's total of 227. All 11 went over 230, but tonight's total is 227. So they make it there fairly easily, really regularly lately. I'm with you. I don't see a lot of defense out of them. I don't see the Knicks responding to what Tom Thibodeau wanted out of them. So either he has just changed course and said, okay, it is what it is. This is the personnel I have, and they're not going to play D. We're going to try and outscore people, because it's not like they're losing a bunch of games, Ski, because of bad defense. They're in these games, and they're winning about 50% of them. So it could just be a transformation of style that we can take to the bank until odds makers figure it out. Orlando's one of those teams, like I always say about Miami, that I feel is undervalued always total-wise. That's why we get 227 here. If it was anybody else, we probably would have gotten over 230 or plus more in this game. But I'm not going to stand in front of the Knicks over train right now. Like I say, 11-2 over this particular number, I'd be right there to do it again.
Yeah, almost if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of deal here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get there too, but I haven't yet. They do play again tomorrow versus Indy. Knicks have gone over 9 of 11 road games, or 9 of the last 11. The Magic have been more of an under team lately, under 6 of their last 9. We'll see. I'll just think about that one for now, but we both do agree as far as the total is concerned. People in the chat, Paco shared a query there. Chef Jeff says he does like the Magic at home and the over because the Knicks have Pacers tomorrow in Indy. Woo Rizza saying he'd rather just play the Knicks. A lot of different opinions here. Even some people on the under. So yeah, no consensus for everybody in that game, but let's keep it moving here. Next one up, 551, 552. We have the Kings going to Atlanta. Opened up Hawks -1. Now a pick 'em. Total opened up 250, and we're looking at 252 as the consensus. Sacramento, I don't see anybody on the injury report for Atlanta. Seth Lundy, DeAndre Hunter. I see both out. I thought it was somebody else supposed to be out in this game, but I must have misread the notification that I got. Atlanta, why would they even open as a favorite? That's what I was thinking when I first saw it. They haven't covered one game as a favorite. And I do think as Sacramento as the much better team. I mean, just looking at it, Atlanta's 12-18, Sacramento 17-12. Why why is this priced as a competitive game? Do you have an answer, Rob?
Well, maybe because Sacramento's not playing well either as of late. Ski last 5 games, 1-4 against the spread. I mean, I keep beating my head against the brick wall trying to play their team total over. They don't get there for me. Last 4 games, kind of subpar offensively for them, where point production is concerned: 119, 120, 98, and 113. Beat pretty badly by Portland by 11. Beat really badly by Boston that night when Boston played almost their entire second team from the outset and scored 144 on them. So they look like mirror images to me, Ski. Maybe, because Atlanta's home, it's priced competitively. Atlanta, no great shakes, 2-10 against the spread this month. They've been bad. Total up from 250 now to 252, over money in. I don't know. Can we get to over 252? Neither one of these is going to play any defense for the Sacramento Kings. Just again, it seems like we harp on this every week, and I think it's only because Mike Brown tried to sell us a bag of dog do on their defense. But these 5 games I'm talking about, Ski, and you're big on last 5 stats, but last 5 for Sacramento, they allowed 61% from the floor, 52% from the floor, 55, 51, and 50. You just can't win that way against a team like the Hawks unless you outscore them, which is probably why teams have gone from why the number's gone from 250 to 252. I don't want to play over 252. Again, we say an awful lot that only one little thing has to go wrong to not get there. It probably won't go wrong with these two teams, but I think Sacramento's offense just looks a little bit off to me. And maybe Atlanta's defense is the perfect elixir, but I don't know that I want either of these teams in this game. And I don't know that I even want total, and that's kind of rare for me to say.
There was a good point in the chat, and I'm going to pull it back up here. It's from Showtime. Says, Ski, it's because Atlanta's net rating is a lot higher with Jalen Johnson. And you are absolutely correct. You are 100% correct. Because as soon as he went down, they stopped covering games. It was simple as that. They were playing terrible. So getting him back in the lineup, and even just looking at the stats, I mean, Rob said that Sacramento's been playing pretty poor. Last 5 game stats for both teams, Atlanta's still been the better offensive, defensive, and rebounding team. And if Atlanta's been a better defensive team than you, something's wrong. So maybe that is why Atlanta opened as a favorite here. You do have the Kings, who've only covered one of their last 5 games. Hawks have covered 2 of their last 15, but again, they started this bad streak when Jalen Johnson was injured. So I can definitely understand that. Maybe they start to turn things around. So that would make me lean towards Hawks. And as far as the total is concerned, I'm not betting under in this game. I'm just not. You have 2 teams playing absolutely zero defense and 2 top 10 offensive rated teams the last 5 games. Surprisingly, the last 6 meetings have went under, but I would honestly, if I bet this game under and it went over, I would feel like an idiot at the end of the day. That's just me personally. That's me. So I don't want to feel like that later tonight. I look at Sacramento; they've gone over 10 of their last 15 games. Atlanta 10-2 to the over at home. I'll lean over. I'll lean Hawks. And anything else from you on this one, Rob? Before we move on over,
Ski, let me just give you a couple of quotes from the head coaches because this is priceless. After each of their respective last games, here's what Mike Brown said after their last game. Quote, "We didn't do a good job defensively." Gave up 130 to Portland. No kidding. How about Quinn Snyder after they just played their last game? In the second half, our execution on the defensive end was poor. We still had a chance to win if we make shots, but if we're not making shots and we're giving up 60 to 70 points a half, it's not a game we're going to win. So both of these guys are telling you defense stinks. And you're right. Nobody wants to bet under here because I don't want to have you texting me telling me, Rob, what are you playing under 252 for? So you probably either play that and take your shot, or maybe the Jalen Johnson thing has legs But does it have legs immediately in his first game back, or do we wait a couple of games? I'm not sure. It's just, like we said, two teams playing really, really bad point spread wise, two teams playing really, really bad defensively.
Yeah, maybe it's just best to not get involved here in this one. But still, told you the ways that we feel about the game. Next one up, we have 553, 554. Milwaukee Bucks heading into Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. Opened up Bucks -5. They are now 6-point favorite. Yeah, 6-point favorite pretty much everywhere. Total opened up 239. Not much movement. We're looking at 239.5 for the Bucks. Giannis, his game time decision tonight, but he was likely. Let me just make sure here. Yeah, he's likely. And I'll hit refresh just because I want to be up to date. Yeah, Giannis still likely. Crowder out. For the Cavaliers, they'll be without Rubio, Evan Mobley, Ty Jerome, and Darius Garland. Merrill and Donovan Mitchell, both game time decision. Donovan Mitchell has missed 4 games now with this illness. I'm wondering, like, how sick are you? Like, I thought he would be back in that last game, but no, he missed that one. Didn't matter. Cavaliers, no Donovan Mitchell, no problem. They've covered what 5 of their last 6 games. They haven't been great in the home dog role. They're 1-3, but versus competition, greater than 55% win teams, they are 10-5 against the spread. For Milwaukee, first competition 7-4 ATS, and looking at Milwaukee, they've been playing pretty good lately. They have won what 11 of their last 22 games. Only 3 of those wins was not by 6. So I don't think the point spread comes into effect here. I think it's just, do you expect Milwaukee to win this game? And I think I do here. You have Cleveland, what, coming off of a win, but that last game, that they spent a lot of energy, right? They were down by 20 plus in that game and come all the way back here. So I think that's something that I would like to bet against. And Milwaukee being the better offense and defensive team lately, I think they can keep that going and win this game by margin. So lean Bucks -6 here. How do you feel about this game, Rob?
I could see it. It's the last game of a road trip for the Bucks, fourth in 7 days. Probably want to close it out strong, like you said. Been playing really well. The clunker was the Christmas Day game against the Knicks, where they really had a big second half rally. I really wanted to get to the window with over in this game, but when I saw the opener, it just shows you the respect for Milwaukee's offense right now, Ski. When a Cleveland Cavalier game with Donovan Mitchell questionable can open at 239 and then get bet up again at 239.5. I happen to think Mitchell will go here. And I think when Mitchell is on the floor without Garland, they're just a far better, not far better because Garland's missing, but they're more of an offensive scoring team and less of a defending type team. When they're separated from each other, when they're together, play a little better defense because of Darius Garland. I looked at Bucks team total. It's 122.5. Can they get to 123 against these guys? If they want to, they can. And that's a number that they get over quite frequently. 144 the other night. Generally, you don't have a huge height advantage against Cleveland, but Milwaukee on most nights is going to have an interior edge size-wise against anybody. So I don't know. Pace is probably going to be there, especially if Mitchell goes ski. I could still see it getting over, but I think they priced me out when they started it at 239, and it's now up to 239.5. I think the only way, just thinking this through right this second, because I haven't made a play on this game, I think the only way I would get to the window with this one would be Bucks team total over 122.5. 123 seems to be a number that they get to consistently. And in fact, it brings back a bad memory of Christmas Day because they were 122.5 against the Knicks that day and they scored 122. Left me hanging by a point that day. But I don't know that they would do so here. Teams haven't met this year. I don't even have anything to draw off of. Last time they played was last January. So interesting matchup, but I think I would get there with Bucks team total over.
Yeah, Bucks have gone over 11 of their last 14 games, and Cleveland has gone over in 5 straight at home. So I wouldn't want to bet this game under. I think I'd agree with you on that. Let's keep going here. Next game up, we have 555, 556. Toronto Raptors heading into Boston to take on the Celtics. Opened up Celtics minus 8.5. They are a 6-point favorite right now. Total open 225.5. Not much movement. Looks like a consensus of 225. As far as the injury report is concerned, Koloko remains out for the Raptors, and Garrett Temple is doubtful. For the Celtics, everybody in the starting lineup except for Derek White is on the injury report. I mean, let's just put it like this: Horford is out already. Porzingis is doubtful, so they're likely to miss starting big man and backup big man. Tatum is game time. Drew Holiday game time. Jaylen Brown game time. Jaylen Brown didn't play last game because he had a low back contusion, so we'll see if he's well enough to get out there tonight. But I wouldn't be surprised to see either Drew or Tatum sit in this game as well. A lot of these players for Boston played a lot of minutes last night, trying their heart out not to lose to Detroit and be the team that they end their streak on. So they were successful, but it took what I think like 44 minutes. It was 44 minutes from Drew, I think 43 minutes from Tatum, maybe even 47 minutes from one of them. It was crazy minutes that I saw from these guys. So I don't think they'll all be out there for one. And even if they are out there, I just don't think they'll be able to play for the entirety of the game. I don't think that's just how I view it. And Toronto is on the front end of a back to back. They play Detroit tomorrow. But you asked me which game they care about more. It's going to be this divisional game. They already lost twice to the Celtics. And the last one they played was without OG. They only lost by 3. So I think Toronto is live here. They've been a better defense and rebounding team lately. Not the great spot for Boston. And as far as the total, if you tell me that they're going to be missing Porzingis and Horford, I mean, who's protecting the rim for this Celtics team? I think Toronto will be able to score, and because of that, they'll probably play, a little bit more up tempo. And Boston, I mean, the guys that are going to be out there probably be forced to play up tempo too. So I think it's more of an over game, even if some of these guys are rolled out. How do you feel about this one, Rob?
I like what you said at the end there because the biggest play I made today was Toronto's team total over 109.5. 109.5 just seems so low, Ski, in a game where Boston figures to be a little bit fatigued. Believe it or not, Toronto is number 1 in the NBA in fast break points. And maybe some of that's due to having Dennis Schroeder now and his quickness off the bench. But if you're number 1, and lately, the last 3, they've been even better. I think I saw 23 points per game off the fast break. Their shooting percentages have gone through the roof for a Toronto team that we used to be able to say can't shoot the basketball at all. But if I go over the last 9 games for you really quick, you'll find that 8 of those 9, this team has shot 48% or better from the floor, 6 times over 50%. So they're making shots. They're running and they're scoring some points here. 109.5 against a team, as you mentioned, that might be without their rim protection, that might be a little tired and lazy on defense after last night. Joe Mazzulla in his post game last night said he didn't think they played real hard in the first half. No kidding. But like you say, they had to scramble and use a lot of energy to get that win in overtime. I don't know. To me, this one seemed too easy. So I'm on Toronto team total over 109.5.
And I can see that. I don't think you get a whole lot of defense from the Celtics team tonight. They have gone over 5 straight. It's mostly been because of their offense, however. They are 3-1 to the over without rest and 3-1 against the spread without rest. There was a good comment in here that said this is fishy. Showtime here says this game is fishy. Last time Boston played a back-to-back off an overtime game, they beat the Kings by 30. and I believe I was on the Kings in that game, and I was frustrated. So good point by you. Um, we'll see how it shakes out, but it's definitely not a Boston spot, and we're in agreement that we think it could be an over game here. So next game up. Oh, last thing before I do move to the next game is Celtics have won, I think, 15 straight games at home. They said earlier in the season that they made it a point to play games at home, um, because the past couple years before they were a poor home team and they wanted to do better for their fans. So they still could give effort. It's just will the talent be there out on the court? So we'll see. Next game up, 557, 558. Philadelphia and Houston opened up Sixers -1. Looks like 1.5 right now. Total opened up 217.5 and all the way up to 224. Injury report for the Sixers. They continue to be without Embiid and Batum. And then you have Kenyon Martin Jr. game time decision. For Houston, Eason is game time. They'll be without Dylan Brooks, Oladipo, and Jabari Smith as well. So Houston, pretty banged up here. I know Philly's missing their big guy, but I think they're more than capable. I mean, they won their last game without him. Philly's been playing good basketball lately. They're 8-2 against the spread their last 10, 6-2 as a road favorite. Last 5 game stats, all favor the Sixers team as far as the categories I care about. Offensive rating. They're the number one defensive rated team, and that rebound percentage as well. Houston has only covered 2 of their last 5 games, regressing a little bit here at this point in the season, and also bookmakers probably just caught up to them. So I will lean towards the Sixers here, and I don't know how I feel about the total, but Sixers have gone over 11 of their last 15. It's gone over 5 of the last 6 meetings between both of these teams. Can I get you to the window with an over, or how do you feel about the side? You agree with Philly?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons that you could like Philly here, even despite Joel. First off, is Houston's kind of come back to reality here, 2-5 against the spread last 7, and all that great defense that they were playing early on this season. Ski, last 6 games, last 7 games here, they've allowed 50%, 48.5%, 52%, 52%, 57% from the field. But that's not the bigger problem. The biggest problem is the 3-point percentages that are being shot against them. Philly's a top 10 3-point shooting offense. And for Houston, they've allowed 39% or better from 3 in 4 of their last 6. And if you want to go back a little bit, it's 5 of their last 7. So they're not defending the arc. They're not defending the rim because obviously I gave you the overall field goal percentages. And Philly's good at both. I think what you said, even without Joel, they've played a few games without him now. I think in the very first game they played, Tyrese Maxey had an 0 for 9 first half and then came back and played his better second half. And then, of course, in their most recent game, in their most recent game, they went out and beat Orlando by 20 points. So I think they've got a better feel for it without Joel on the floor. And Houston, I just don't want to play them because I'd rather fade them due to their regression, especially on a defensive end. Really, when you look at Houston, I don't want to say they don't have a lot going for them, but I will say that if they can't play defense the way they played to start the season, then they don't have a lot going for them. I don't think they're that capable of an offensive team in this system right now. So I'd look towards Sixers here. I think it's probably a really good spot for them.
We're agreeing on a lot of these games here today. So both of us liking the Sixer side. Houston, I just wanted to peek really quick. Well, the last couple games, they played Phoenix, they played Indiana, give up 129 and 123. That defense sure is regressing. So we'll see how I play it as the day goes on. Next game up, 559, 560. Oklahoma City Thunder, Denver Nuggets. Opened up Nuggets -3.5. They're a 2.5 point favorite right now. Total open 229.5. up as high as 237.5. Injury report. Jay Will, the center, not the forward, is game time decision here. And for Denver, Aaron Gordon still out for this one. This is a revenge game for the Nuggets. They did lose to OKC, and these are two teams who are jockeying in those standings. So, I do think Denver cares quite a bit about getting some revenge here. Coach Malone also mentioned it in his post-game interview last night. Do we trust him here? Do we trust him? So, being on a back-to-back, you could get people rolled out. With how easily they won yesterday, I think they'll be okay. They might be able to still play with everybody. Denver, let's see, they've covered 7 of their last 10 games. OKC has been covering 2, though, 5 of their last 6. OKC 5-1-1 as a road dog. If I look at last 5 game stats, it says OKC's been slightly better offensive team. Denver, the better defense, and a big edge on rebounding. Denver, the second best rebounding team. OKC, the second worst rebounding team. They will miss Aaron Gordon tonight, but if they can take advantage of that, Denver should be able to get the win here. So I want to lean towards Denver in this matchup. I have a query, and maybe I've talked about this, and you will hear a lot of this. I do this a lot in the second half. Let me see if I can find a spot to pull it up here. But you probably remember me talking about this too, Rob. When two competitive teams meet, and maybe I won't pull it up. I'll just talk about it because my thing is lagging. But when two competitive teams meet and the total is higher than 230, it's usually played more like an under. And my thought process is, games like this, you have teams jockeying for position, and especially more down the stretch, like after All-Star break, it really matters for those standings, So I think it's more defense to be played in those games than normal games. But it being this early in the season and also missing Aaron Gordon is going to hurt the defense. I just didn't feel that strong about that play. So how do you feel about this one here, Rob?
Yeah, boy, they bet it up, didn't they, Ski? I mean, the opener here was 229.5, and now it's 237.5. 8-point move to the over. Seemed like a lot to me. Now, the first time they played 118, 117, 235, that would be an under in this instance. I agree with you a little bit. I mean, my thought process was that obviously it being a revenge game, Oklahoma City wins by 1 point last time, that maybe it would be a little more defensively contested. And then I take these shooting percentages into account. Ski, Denver was so good shooting the basketball last night against Memphis. Nobody played 30 minutes as far as starters go. So the rest, they're rested. I don't think fatigue is an issue here for the Nuggets. They knew this game was up next. Head coach Malone manages minutes accordingly to game and situation. But they shot 57.3% last night, 48.6 from 3. Those are huge numbers. Oklahoma City, last 2 games, talked about this the other day in the Minnesota Timberwolves game. The Timberwolves being as good defensively as they are. OKC shot 60.5% from the floor against Minnesota, 46.2 from 3, then bounced back against the Knicks and did almost as good, 54.5% and 43.8 from 3. Those are really, really good shooting efforts. And if you go back their last 4 games, they've been tremendous shooting the basketball. I don't know if the regression comes here and shots don't fall, or if OKC is just getting way too many good shots at this point in time. They look very comfortable offensively. So it'll be interesting. The Aaron Gordon situation to me is huge. Not having him in this game, you talked about rebounding numbers. He's got a lot to do with that. He's got a lot to do with rim protection. He's got a lot to do with good defense against wings that can move a little bit. So I don't know. I think you're supposed to play Denver because a team that good in a situation like this where they really want the game and at a price tag of only -2.5, it should be them. But OKC is playing so well offensively right now. It's hard for me with them rested to think that they can't come in here and win. I'm off the game entirely, but I could understand anybody's argument either way, side or total. A lot of this stuff makes too much sense both ways. And when that's the case, I usually lay off.
Fair enough. There was a comment here I wanted to shout out. It's my guy Avery. He had a few comments rather. How he feels about this Denver game. He says Denver minus 139 on the money line. Loves Denver in this spot. Yes, they're on a back to back, but to me, in my eye, that was a tune up game for them. Jokic, Murray, KCP, and Porter roughly played 26 or 30 minutes last night. Says he rather not touch the points, might go wire to wire, but he doesn't see this OKC team coming into Denver again and beating the champs on their home court 2 times in a row. Not to mention, this is a revenge game for the Nuggets. The champs going to want to make a statement to this young OKC team. As Dutch would say, it's levels to this shit. And they're going to show them tonight. All right. Good stuff, Avery. I like it. And he also says OKC coming off a 5-game homestand to travel to Elevation, then back to OKC to play Sunday. Thinks it's a bad spot for the Thunder tonight. Good stuff there. And I wanted to put some numbers to what I was saying earlier. So let's take a look here if I can share my screen. This should be, you can see this, correct, Rob?
I got it.
So this is what I'm talking about here. When 2 competitive teams play, greater than 60% win percentage for both, and the total is higher than 230. It's like about 60% to the under. This is all the way back as far as the database goes, which is 1994 or whatever. So it's a situation I usually like. More so I like it in the end of the year. But let's see how it is. Like you see, it's 60% to the under here. But I think I looked at this earlier. When it's before All-Star break and the team is unrested, it's adding this to that query. 60% under query back to 1994. 4-2 to the over. Maybe, let's take this out. Take out the home because we don't need that to take out doubles. So the same situation when it's an unrested team before All-Star break, it's 8-2 to the over, 80% to the over. So wow. I just, I can't write this query at that point. And maybe the Nuggets went with offense. They are missing one of their defenders. It's just, I don't like to see that. It doesn't give me the feeling that, I want to run to the window without it. So just wanted to put that up there. I might get to the window with Denver. I do think they are the right side today. What up, JT? Appreciate you tuning in. You too, Ronell. Let's keep it going. Next game will be 559. I'm sorry, 561, 562. Hornets heading into Phoenix to take on the Suns. Opened up Suns minus 15. Looks like 16 is the consensus right now. Injury report. Okogie, game time decision. Damian Lee out for Phoenix. For the Hornets, Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball remain out. Mark Williams is doubtful. Frank Ntilikina is doubtful. Only guys on the injury report right now is a back-to-back for them, so you never know if guys can be added. This Hornets team, I talked about it yesterday, but they've been pretty pathetic as far as scoring the ball since LaMelo's been out. They've been even worse lately. Last 5 games, they're the worst offensive rated team in the league. And Phoenix numbers in that department aren't great either. They're the 3rd worst offensive rated team. But I said before the last game we backed Phoenix. I think that was going to be the turning point. I said, these are my words. I said, if you bet on Phoenix every game from then out, while they go on this, like they have like a 7-game homestand or 6-game homestand or something that they're starting tonight, I think you're going to make money. And I said it started last game. This point spread, though, is pretty crazy. The Hornets are more than capable of giving it up. I really want to get to the window with it. It's just I don't usually bet games in this range as far as taking a favorite. So is there anything you can help me out with here, Rob, to give me a little nudge towards the Phoenix side? Or how do you view this Hornets versus Suns game?
Yeah, the 15.5 is huge for a team that hasn't been covering a bunch of games, Ski. And I'm with you a little bit after. I'm going to give you a Frank Vogel quote. And this stuff always amazes me because it seems so simple to guys like us that handicap and watch the games. But we have to remember all the time that these teams are made up of different personalities. And sometimes those personalities override fundamental basketball. But to your point about playing Phoenix from here on, here's what Frank Vogel said after the last game. That was good carryover from the way we played offensively against the Mavs. We learned lessons from the wins and losses, but we learned how effective we can be offensively when we share the ball like we did against Dallas, and it carried over into Wednesday. You got a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and you're just figuring out that if we share the ball, we'll be better. To me, that's so crazy that it takes this long to figure something like that out. But a switch has gone off, right? Because if we look at the game against Houston, they scored 129. I'm looking back here, Ski. I can't tell you the last time. The last time they scored 129 was against Utah on November 19th, over a month ago. Shot 57% from the floor, 42.4% from three. So perhaps the cohesion, the mesh, whatever you want to call it, between these guys that are on the floor is beginning to happen here. And like I say, the light switch went off. So I wouldn't want to be against Phoenix. I just looked up as you were talking what their team total is tonight. It's 124. I think you said at best Charlotte can give it up. They just spent 3 days in LA. Maybe they'll give it up here. But do we trust the Suns enough to get to the 125 mark? That's the question. They did last game. And if they are on the same page offensively, there's no question they could do it here. I think if I were going to play, that's kind of the way I would lean toward a Phoenix team total. But I couldn't argue anybody off over in this instance. I'm just not up for asking Phoenix to win by 16, no matter how bad the opponent is.
Yeah, it's very tough. I have a feeling I'm gonna look at this at the end of the day and say, "Damn, that minus 15 was easy," but
First
probably easy to
half,
say after the fact. First half could be something. Let me take a look. I have a feeling, or I feel like I've looked at it before, and the Hornets' second half margin or first half margin was pretty terrible. Let's see here. Hornets are 27th, first half margin minus 5.2. Phoenix is top 10 plus 3. First half is what? What do you have to lay here?
showing 9.
You need to be up by 10. I would need to do a little bit more work, but that might not be a bad look there. I'll think about this game a little bit more as it goes on. Boofer, though, he says Charlotte first quarter plus 5.5. He says that covers their last 3 games versus the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. He says maybe that's worth the look. Robbie Young asking if you could share where you get your coach's quotes and stuff. I'm pretty sure you just watch interviews or just look it up on the internet. But maybe he doesn't want to share.
No. I'm getting them. If he needs to know, I'm getting them from a. If you type in or just Google field level media will give you a preview on every single game, and it'll give you the coach's quotes from their last game. And so that's where I'm pulling them from. I'm actually, I print them out. Ski knows I got a stack of papers all the time, man, in front of me. This desk is full, but that's where I'm getting them from. So if you want to look and know where I'm getting this stuff from, that is it. It's called field level media.
All right, good information right there. Appreciate you sharing. Let's keep moving right along. We have 563, 564. Spurs heading into Portland to take on the Blazers. Opened up Blazers minus 5.5. Total, and we still see 5.5. Total open 227.5, and it's up to 232. Injury report for the Spurs. I see Wemby game time, Graham out. For the Blazers, Ayton, Reith, Sharp, and Simons all game time decision. This is a back-to-back. These teams just played yesterday, and yesterday I have a query that says that the Blazers should be playing on because it's a short turnaround revenge game after they just lost as a favorite and their home favorite. But as I said yesterday, I don't think the Blazers should be laying versus anybody. I just don't think they're that kind of a team. So, having Wimby out would definitely help them. Maybe they get some guys back on their side, but I'm not betting the Blazers for my money. I could think of a hell of a lot more things I'd rather do. Um, no way. No, no, no way. And also, if under is active on this game. I think the last game opened up more like 234 and a half, 235, something like that. And it went well under. They opened this one up to what 227 and a half. They're still market is pushing it up, but it's still not at that mark that we saw from last game. So they're expecting this one to be lower scoring. I don't think I'll be at the window for this game. I don't think I'll be betting anything. Damn sure, and not betting the Blazers. Are you, Rob?
Yeah, it's so funny. I was hoping you wouldn't mention it because I was going to say to you, the first thing I thought of was because I liked over, but I'm like, damn, I wonder if this is a if you know game because you just now my love for over fades a little bit, but I think the game closed 233 last night, so people probably saw a little bit of fluctuation there and said, well, let's push it back up to where it was last night. They don't go by if you know. It makes sense to play over. It doesn't make sense to bet into that trend that you have that provides cash so often. So I'm kind of at a quandary here. The Spurs they can't play any defense whatsoever. Last night, Portland didn't shoot the ball well, 34% from the field. That's going to change against this defense. There's no way they're shooting 34.7 tonight. I wouldn't think. And San Antonio, for what it's worth, has gone over this number 7 of their last 10 games. To me, it screams over. Obviously, the if you know trend stands in my way a little bit, but I still may get there ski slightly. I'll just temper the amount back that I play on this one. To me, 232. And I see a lot of available 232s as I look here. To me, 232 looks like a reachable number in this contest.
All right, so a little bit of differing opinions here, and that's okay. We'll go over to the last game on the slate. That is 565, 566. Memphis Grizzlies heading into, the Grizzlies going to face the Clippers. Opened up Clippers -6.5. And we're looking at a -6 right now. Total opened up 225.5 and still 225.5. John Morant, game time decision once again. He missed last game with an illness. Dama also game time. Luke Kennard game time. Derrick Rose game time. But Luke Kennard and Rose are both doubtful. Clark is out. For the Clippers, Kawhi game time here. They'll be without Plumlee. And I feel similar to this game how I talked about Memphis last game. If Ja's in, they're live. Ja's out, I want absolutely nothing to do with them. We've already seen what these Grizzlies look like when he's not on the court. Last 5 games, they have been a better defense and rebounding team. Grizzlies are 3-1 against the spread without rest so far this season. The Clippers have been playing good. When they see these lesser competition teams, they don't usually, play with the same effort, 3-7 against the spread. So maybe if Ja's in, they don't look at it like that, but I would only bet it one way. Ja's in, I bet the Grizzlies. Otherwise, I think I just stay off of this game. How do you feel about it, Mr. Veno?
Well, I couldn't say it any better, Ski. I mean, they're showing us there's a definitive line in the sand with this team. When John Morant is part of the lineup, they're really good. That threesome that they have, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and John Morant, you could see how their shooting percentages and their three-point shooting percentages went way up because of Ja's ability to get to the rim and get open guys. So with him, I'd be there with Memphis. It probably means we're going to have to wait till, a little later in the day to speak with any conviction on this game. But that point spread won't be around if, in fact, John Morant is ruled in on this game. So I think real quick here, just to give another head coach's view on his team. Ty Lue wasn't too pleased with the way they played Charlotte in their most recent game, blew a couple double-digit leads, and in fact, in the fourth quarter, were trailing, and then decided to come back and play hard and won that game. So to your point about LA plays the competition, totally agree, which makes this a pretty competitive game. If Morant's on the floor, I'm in, but to be in, you want this number, and that means you have to guess whether or not he's going to be in a few hours before they actually announce. Otherwise, I would say, Ski, I don't know about you, but looking at 6 right now, I think this would probably tumble down to 3.5, maybe 3 if they rule Ja Morant in. He's probably worth 3 points in the number the way he's been playing right now.
There's some interesting comments coming in. I might have missed what you said there, but everybody's saying you missed the pause. It's saying, look, say Rob's a freak, man. I must have missed what you said, but
sometimes I don't know what I say.
I must have been something about a threesome. That's what you're saying here in the chat, but.
I got it all now, right? I get the peaches, I got the threesome, I got it all going over here. Bring a little something to the show.
It's a good comment right here from Avery. He says, and this is something I usually do look at. Maybe I overlooked it today. Clippers coming into this game with 2 days rest. Memphis on a back-to-back, which is a big advantage for this Clippers team. Says they're one of the best teams out west, and they're going to show that to this overhyped Grizzlies team. He thinks that Ja will play because it's a national TV game, and the public is going to see that they're 4-0 straight up and against the spread when he plays. And he's like, not so fast. That's what he says. By the way, Avery is Mr. Contrarian, so it's not surprising to see him talk like that. He says, Memphis beat this Clipper team without Ja, 105-101. The Clippers will remember that. And it was fresh off the James Harden trade. So he thinks on the back-to-back, Memphis going to get destroyed here. Says, see you at the window with the Clippers minus. And that's a nice handicap. I mean, 2 days rest compared to 0 is a big deal. I would see how many minutes, the guys who we really care about play yesterday. But
didn't Ski. That would be your pushback, Ski, because nobody played. Denver didn't play minutes. Memphis didn't play minutes. And Ja played 0 minutes. And so Desmond Bane, 25, Marcus Smart, 23, Jaren Jackson, 27. I mean, it's not a true back-to-back from that perspective.
And here's another good comment from our guy Tomorrow. Says, Grizz, a different team with Ja. The Clippers also a different team without Kawhi. Clippers near lost to the Hornets, he says. That's also a good point for them to be possibly without Kawhi here. So I guess I'll think about that one a little bit more. And by the way, the Denver game, Michael Porter Jr. is now questionable. So I'd have to have some pause before going to touch the Nuggets in that game. That's why you got to be wary when these teams play on the back-to-back. You never know who's going to get ruled out. So,
and that total's coming backwards too, Ski, real quick. That total's come from 237.5 back to 236 now with the Michael Porter Jr. news, I guess.
And that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So we got through every game for today's slate. I think we did a pretty solid job. Now it's about that time, Rob. Well, I want to ask you actually, and this is last second. I didn't even think about it till right now. I want to ask you about one NFL game.
No, you're done with football.
I need to be done. I really do. Well, actually, I'm not done once playoffs start. Playoffs start is a different deal.
Just taking a break.
But the game I want to ask you about, let me just pull it up here. It's the Cowboys and the Lions. And my thought is, I feel like this is about both teams. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but both teams are good at home, much better at home than they are on the road. And I was hoping this game would be more like a pick 'em, but to see it open up as minus 5.5 for Dallas, it makes me think that a lot of people. I mean, for one, my number one question, my first question is, who do you think everybody's going to bet in this game? Second is, do you agree that both teams are better at home? And third, if that's the case, why do we not go bet the Cowboys here in this game off of a loss?
Well, the point about them both being way better at home is absolutely true. Detroit's way better in their place, and Dallas has certainly been crushing people in their place. I think that we've seen some Dallas money early here. Actually, the game's tomorrow, so not really early, late in the week. We showed them. I guess 5.5 and 5.5. So I'm wrong. We haven't seen Dallas money, but I'm just going to tell you what Detroit coach Dan Campbell said. You would think that because Detroit clinched their first playoff berth in 30 years last week, they haven't been to the playoffs since 1993. You would think that they'd come in here and be all happy with that and not want to play. But Dan Campbell basically put all that to rest and said, listen, we're going to the playoffs, but this game is an ultimate playoff test. We're walking into as difficult a stadium as you could walk into because of Dallas's results at home so far this season. We're walking into a place where Dallas needs the game, and we're walking into a place where their offense is as good as any in the NFL, and their defense at times is too. So he's using it as a gauge to how good his team is. They're going to go all out here, Detroit is. I think what you end up with is two offenses that can't be stopped in this game. And mainly because both offensive lines are so good. Dallas's is so good. Detroit's is so good. If you just go through, and I won't go through them now, Dallas's game logs at home, you'll see how many points they scored, how big of victories they've had. I couldn't argue anybody off of Dallas, but I would be cautious because Detroit's coming to play. This isn't a situation where they're happy with what they accomplished last week. And now that we've clinched, we're just going to, let the rest of the season ride out. But 52 to me seemed like, you're asking these teams to get to 27 each. Dallas does that at home easily. Detroit's still not a good defensive team, especially where pass rush is concerned. And Dallas can be beat on the defensive end as well when they get pushed around, right? We saw, who was it on? It was Buffalo a couple of weeks ago that absolutely ran the ball down Dallas's throat, pushed them around. And Detroit's offensive line is the same thing. So I like over. It would seem like Dallas is a play here, and maybe they are, but I can't endorse either side, Dallas or Detroit.
Interesting. The chat seems to like the Cowboys. They feel the same way as me. Brian says Lions too emotional after last week's win. Otto also saying fourth road game in 5 weeks for the Lions. Doesn't seem like the greatest spot for them. And Showtime says Dallas is a juggernaut at home and off 2 road L's. I think it's a spot that favors the Cowboys, or at least the chat and myself think that way. Tomorrow says, laugh out loud, I ski treating NFL like a toxic ex. I know I said I was done, but
go back for more.
Right back again. But tell me what you think about this. And I heard Ryan Clark and Dan, I'm going to screw his name up, Orlovsky. You know what I'm talking about?
Orlovsky, yep.
Okay. I heard them talking about this Cowboys team, and they're kind of just saying why they think the Cowboys are good at home. And it has to do with Dak being able to hear and communicate with his line, like the things he's seeing, and making adjustments at the line of scrimmage when he's at home. It's quiet for him to do everything he needs to do,
right,
and he can make his adjustments. They can hike the ball and not feel rushed. They're hiking the ball at like 16 seconds left in the clock. But when they're on the road, they can't hear anymore, and the shot clock is winding down, and they're just looking for leg kicks, and it starts to get a little bit screwed up. So, any opinion from you on that? Think that'll come in a play here this week?
Yeah, that stuff always does, Ski. They go on silent counts on the road because a lot of these crowds are just too loud to hear. Even though you have a headset connected right to the coach, you can't hear the headset. A lot of times you'll see these quarterbacks go like this over their ears. They can't hear what the coach is telling them to call. So definitely road venues are tougher. Home venues are more friendly to the home team. And it could be a reason why Dak is better at home. But they do, for whatever the reason is, and the chat and yourself, you guys pointed out a lot of reasons. And the positives for Dallas, to play Dallas, outweigh the negatives, for sure. I just got scared off a little bit by the Dan Campbell quote, or the Dan Campbell little, I don't even want to call it a rant, but his press conference where he said, don't think we're not coming here. And if there's not play, and if there's a guy who can motivate a team as a head coach in the NFL, that's the guy. So they play like crazy for him. They're still, real quick here too, Ski, the Detroit Lions could still end up as the #1 seed in the NFC playoffs. And if that becomes the case, all roads go through Detroit. And we just talked about how good Detroit is at home, like Dallas is. Everybody wants to be at home. So the game is still very meaningful to the Lions here. But I get your point about Dak being better at home because he can hear what's being told to him through the headsets.
All right, good stuff. Manny said, is it me or Ski's high top fro growing an inch after every episode? Maybe I just keep picking it out a little bit more and more and more rather than just leaving it how it was. But good stuff on the NFL. There was a question in the chat asking if we had anything on college football playoffs. I have absolutely zero. But I would ask you, Rob, I know there's 2 games. I would ask you, it's pretty, for somebody who, from myself, who doesn't watch a whole lot of college football, but I do know, Alabama's been dominant over the years. To see Alabama as an underdog is fairly surprising to me. So do you think they can be competitive in this game? Is there any chance for them to beat Michigan, or is Michigan just a powerhouse?
No, it's lined the way it is because it's extremely competitive, Ski. It's almost a pick 'em price. So I think there was a flood of money to Alabama as soon as this game opened. And there's been a little bit of take back toward Michigan. Me personally, I'm in the small boat. I think Michigan is the better team, and I think they're built to beat this type of team, even though their name is Alabama. The style Alabama plays is more not wide open, so to speak. You're not going to throw 5 wides out there and spread Michigan out. I think that's tougher for Michigan to defend than when you just line up and say man to man, who's more physical. I think Michigan's built for that. I think they've shown it over the course of the last 4 games where they beat 3 really good defenses. It's a competitive game. Like I said, I'm in a small boat. I happen to like Michigan. The other side, or the other game, the other half of that 14 playoff, Texas and Washington, I don't know how you can view it as anything other than a shootout. That ought to be a great game. It's the exact opposite, really, of the Michigan-Alabama game, which would be one in the trenches. And that one, Texas-Washington, should just be ball flying all over the place. I would say this. If you're looking to play over in Texas-Washington, do it today. These bowl game lines move so crazy the day of the game. Like, people just wait to bet their money till the game's about to kick off. And instead of seeing the number that you see right now, you probably see 3 points higher come game time, Texas-Washington. So if you like over, play it now. And I do like Michigan a little bit in what should be a really, really good game. And it's a for head coach Jim Harbaugh, it's kind of a make or break deal. The idea is he can't beat an SEC team. We're going to find out.
All right, good stuff from you on both games. Manny said he agrees with you there. And there was one last question here. I believe it's about a game that goes today. And Brian H. asked, Rob, do you like Ohio State today? And Mr. Contrarian in the chat says he likes Ohio State -4.5. And he says, stay sharp. So do you agree with Mr. Contrarian, Avery Smith? Or you say not so fast?
All right, here's where I have to let my bias go, right? My youngest son went to Missouri. That's who Ohio State's playing today. So, quietly, I'd much rather see Mizzou win. I do have a play on the game, though, Ski. This game was 49.5 this morning, the total, and I played it over. Ohio State lost their starting quarterback to the transfer portal, somewhat unexpected. But still, the talent level there is such, they get all the 5-star recruits over there. So I think Ohio State's going to be just fine offensively. I think what's going to surprise a lot of people that don't watch a lot of Missouri football is how good the Missouri offense is. I thought 49.5 on a fast track was really low in this game. Missouri has scored on everybody, including Georgia, where they had Georgia on the ropes in the fourth quarter. So to me, it's an over game. Quietly, I'm rooting for Mizzou because I don't have a play on the side. I can't argue anybody off Ohio State because talent level is what talent level is all the way up and down the 65-man roster or whatever it is. Ohio State's got better players 1 to 65, but that starting offensive line and that starting offense for Missouri is no joke, and I think they're gonna find their way to points in that game.
All right, good stuff. Rob shared a lot of football insight, and we got through the NBA cards. So it is about that time, and I'm sure the chat appreciates you for doing that, Rob, because I can't talk about those things like you can. It's time for best bet part of the show. And before I ask you what's your best bet, just a reminder for the chat, you guys drop your best bets. I will mark down as many as I can, and I'll also try to put some up on the screen to share. So, is there anything you would like to promote here today, Mr. Ravino? And is there maybe a play you like a little more than the rest?
Okay, let's go to promotion real quick here. I will promote these next 4 days worth of bowl games, Ski. I mean, this is the heaviest time of bowl season: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, New Year's Day, and I do have a lot going on here. I would say that 90% of my strongest plays in the bowls go over the course of the next 4 days. So if you're interested in selection packages, you can find my work at wagertalk.com. Go to my homepage. All the plays will be up. Also, if you're not a member of Wager Talk, currently a member, I would just go there and drop your email address, guys. You instantly get free access to all the video content provided each and every day, every sport, almost every game. And you get the written content for free as well. Free plays with analysis up and available from, I think it's like 30 handicappers over there. So you get a lot of good stuff for free over at wagertalk.com. I am going to say the best bet really isn't in question for me, Ski. I woke up, I played it. I like it the best. It's the Toronto team total over 109.5. I can see Boston getting involved in a high-scoring game at home. It's what they do best, score high at home. And even if everybody plays, you read off the injury list, there's a lot of guys questionable. If everybody plays, I still think Toronto, which has shot the ball really, really well. I went over all those numbers earlier, and is the number one team in fast break points per game. They're going to try and run at Boston. And at 109.5 just seemed like a shallow number to me. So I'm over. That'll be my best bet for the show. Toronto team total over 109.5.
And I'm stuck a little bit here now. Before I give my best bet though, and I'll tell you why. Look, but let's share a couple from the chat. We have Justin liking Memphis over 59. Boofer going with 2. Denver first half. Charlotte first quarter. Bitsy, we saw you cash on this the other day. He says if it ain't broke, don't fix it. See you at the window with Kuzma over 2.5 turnovers. Brian H wants to put together a money line parlay with the Nets and the Bucks. Dr. Shilly likes Milton PRA over 22.5. Jim Turner thinks the Hawks worth a nice look tonight. Delbert Royce says Milwaukee -6. Denver money line. Corey, Raptors Celtics over 225. Saturated says Bucks win by margin. Greg with a spicy one. Raptors money line plus 205 for him. He says screw the points. They win in the game outright. A couple more here to see. Anthony Roman, Jackson State plus 18.5. Tomorrow, rolling with the Nuggets -2.5. Not scared of the back-to-back. Woo Rizza got in early on the Raptors, and he likes Claxton 23 plus rebounds. Is that real? Uh, we shall see. That looks like that's a crazy one right there. John Evans likes Melton over 22.5 PRA. Joe the Gambler with the Knicks game over 226.5. Manny likes that Kings game over. zoned up like Sixers money line. Our contrarian, Avery Smith, likes Clippers -7 and Nuggets money line. So good stuff from the chat. For myself, why I say puts me in a little bit of a bind because the best bet I was going to use for the show, and I haven't bet it yet, but I was going to bet it right after the show, was Raptors and Boston over 225. That was going to be my bet. So to see you just choose the Raptors side, just knowing, I mean, we're probably going to be missing some of these guys from the Celtics team, Celtics side. Raptors have been playing solid defense. Now you're making me think about it, Rob. Do I just join you on the team total or do I roll my first line on the full game over? I hate feeling like this now.
I'm never here to talk you off anything, but there's plenty of room on the train with me. So if you want to jump on, I'll bring you right in.
The problem is not that I don't like one. The problem is I like both.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
I mean, the Raptors have hit that 109 their last 3 games. It's not a tough ask. Boston, at least last, 4 out of the last 5 games, they've given this up. I think that's a good bet. I really do think it's a good bet. I will go with you, Rob. How about that? We'll go Raptors team total. Best number you can get right now is 109. Bet online. A lot of 109 and a halves out there. But I think they can get to 110 in this game. So double best bet between Rob and myself. And you can find all of the link to both of our profiles is in the description to the video. Like I say all the time, this show is absolutely nothing without the chat. We appreciate you guys bringing all the insight that you do. And also, we all have a great time together. So, probably, you know what I'll say? I haven't been doing system Saturdays because it just takes a little while to get into the season where the good systems start to pop up. I don't want to just bet all these systems just because it's something populating and sharing it with you guys. But we're starting to get to that point. Regardless if some good systems show up tomorrow or not, I'm going to come on for my members. How about that? And I will share the systems if they do populate. And if not, I'll share my thoughts on the games. So members, come tune in tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Everybody else, I will catch you guys back on Monday. Best of luck if you tell. Good luck, everybody, on all of your action. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.